And he said to my mom, you should take this one back home. He's not cut for this. He's not good at memorizing the Quran. So my mother, may Allah have mercy on her, she cried in that moment. I heard her crying. I was looking the other way because I wasn't supposed to be paying attention, but I could hear her crying. And she was crying and pleading to the Shaykh. She said, oh, I accepted Islam. And my whole family is outside the folds of Islam. And I always had one dream from the day I became Muslim, when I saw someone with the Quran, that I wanted my child to be like that. I really want my son to finish it. So he said to me, he said, Hussein, there was one student that I was confident was not supposed to be Hafiz of the Quran. It was you. I've done this hundreds of times in different corners of the world. Your tahfiz al-Quran is purely a result of a lady's du'as. That's how this one happened. It was a very difficult journey. Very difficult. I can't count the number of times where my Hifz teacher very compassionately, out of so much love, went to my mother and said that this one is not cut out for this work. I cannot emphasize, it was so compassionate. He lives in Philly, my Sheikh does. And I go to visit him every time I'm there. I sit in front of him and he looks at me and he says, Hussein, there was no student of mine that I was as confident was not going to be Hafiz al-Quran as you. One time I was young, I think at the time maybe 9 years old, and my mother came to drop me off to the madrasa. And after Isha Salah, we were leaving the masjid. They were on the staircase, and Shaykh Abdul Samad, he called my mother aside. And he told me to move along. He didn't want me to hear it. But naturally, I was very keen on hearing what he had to say, so I was listening from the corner. And he said to my mom that you should take this one back home. He's not cut for this. He's not good at memorizing the Quran. So my mother, may Allah have mercy on her, she cried in that moment. I heard her crying. I was looking the other way because I wasn't supposed to be paying attention, but I could hear her crying. And she was crying and pleading to the Shaykh. She said, oh, I accepted Islam. And my whole family is outside the folds of Islam. And I always had one dream from the day I became Muslim, when I saw someone with the Quran, that I wanted my child to be like that. I'm willing to trade my life for it. I really want my son to finish it. So then Imam Abdul Samad, I sat with him. I took my kids to him after they finished their Quran, by the way, for his barakah, for his du'as. He's very old now. May Allah have mercy on him and shower his rahmah and afiyah with him. So he said to me, he said, Hussein, there was one student that I was confident was not supposed to be Hafiz of the Quran. It was you. I've done this hundreds of times in different corners of the world. Your tahfiz al-Quran is purely a result of a lady's du'as. That's how this one happened. Otherwise, the formula didn't fit. And Unki Baat Sahi thi, he was right. So my older son, like this, he struggles quite a bit. Sometimes I walk past his room where he reads, and he's sitting in there quietly, and he's not doing the true story. When he's not doing that, something's wrong. So I stood there quietly to see what's happening, and I heard a little sniffle. So I knew what those tears were. Very familiar with those tears. Those are tears of defeat. Those are tears of deep struggle. And I saw him in the corner. He was hiding in the corner of his room, so we wouldn't see. So when I got close, he kind of turned his head down a little bit more. He didn't want to be embarrassed. So I sat next to him and put my arm on his back. And I said, Beta, these are perfect times to make dua to Allah. These are moments where you become a wali. These are moments where you become a friend of Allah. And then I said to him that, Beta, when do your dua, shed your tears. When you're done, I'm sitting in the living room. I want to talk to you. So he came in a few minutes. He sat down. And I said to him that I see all of my struggles in you. Life wasn't easy. It was really hard. But one thing my teachers used to always say to me is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes prolongs the journey of memorizing the Quran for those that are beloved to Him. So they spend more time with the Quran. Because the amount of time you will dedicate to the Quran with this struggle is unparalleled to any other moment in your life. 8 hours a day of the Quran, with the Quran? I mean, that's mind-boggling. We can't put 8 minutes a day with the Quran, with our lives today. And another thing that I shared with him in that moment was that this journey is yours. You always know that you can put a pause to this whenever you want to. You can put a pause to this. But the advice I'll give you as a father is that we don't start things unless we intend to complete them. Once we commit to something, we don't shy away because it's difficult. When you leave things that you start, it does something to you that takes a lot of strength to overcome. You build a conscience that you have to overcome. And I want you to only start things that you can finish. And now that you're here, slowly but surely together we'll finish it off. So I'm going to share one thing here because it might be beneficial for some of those who have younger folks memorizing the Quran. He was in a part-time sort of journey where he was memorizing a little here, a little there. And I asked him, how's it going for you? Because my thought to him was that you can memorize the Quran over the next 20 years, I wouldn't mind. He's younger, right? He said, Baba, this sounds like a good idea theoretically, but the truth is, practically speaking, it's very difficult because at this point in my life, my inability to complete this task reminds me of my failures. And I don't want this to stick with me. I don't want this to continue with me. I see this very same thing with students who memorize the Quran that are in their 15, 16, 17, 18. For them, they can do it for 20 years. It doesn't impact them. But when someone starts it when they're like 7, 8 years old, I've realized that there are 3 entry points into memorizing the Quran. And each of these 3 entry points result in a very different profile of how the Quran will be memorized. There's a very young, there is a middle age, and then there's an older age. These 3 profiles will have very different outcomes. The whole journey will be different, how it happens will be different, your ownership of it will be different, the challenges, how you perceive them, whether you view them as defeats or victories, all of it will be different. So then he said to me that, Baba, this is not realistic. I don't want to continue this for another 5 years. I don't want to continue this, what's going on in my mind. What I would rather do is, some of my friends are going to memorize the Quran in a madrasa boarding school, I want to go with them. And I was like, what? I'm going to go to boarding school. My wife instantly said, no way. He is not going anywhere. And then I said, let's hear him out. So she says, if he's going then, I'm going. How did you know? Oh, you oh, that's what I understand. Yeah. She said that if he's going, then I'm going. I said, everybody stay where you are. Nobody's going anywhere. We're not going to Houston. And then I talked to him, and he said, I really want to do this. I think I can do it. I think I can go out there and do it. And it's been a journey for him. He's still continuing down that path. Being a parent has been more for me being a cheerleader for my child. It's been a matter of the real responsibility for a parent when the children are memorizing the Quran is actually managing their confidence. When it's low, lifting it. When it's too high, deflating it a little bit. You need to manage it just right. You don't want too much confidence, false confidence, that leads to delusions. And you don't want little confidence because then they lose their ambition. Helping them find that right confidence. And when that's there and they have the right niyyah, inshallah, they'll reach their goal. I ask your guys' du'as for him. He has 4 ajza left now. So he's reaching his finish line after a very long journey. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow all of our children, everyone here, to be people of the Quran, inshallah.